Anthony Mundine, you know. He's a great guy.
Right, of course.
And
yeah,
truly,
he got there, you know.
And someone said to me not long ago, it's a pity he's not more like his father. His father, Tony, was just a brilliant boxer and a great guy, quiet, reserved, didn't say a word, hardly, you know, I'd do an interview with him like we're doing here, and all of a sudden he'd nod instead of talking. It was really hard doing an interview with the bloke nodding in the microphone, you know. But Tony was just a lovely bloke. But Tony, I said to someone, mate, Tony Mundine made $300,000. Anthony Mundine has made $54 million. He mightn't be better than his father, but he's a lot smarter.
Yeah, you know, and how, imagine how that would mess with your mind when you're young and you've just come. Rugby league was one thing, you know, and then to be a boxer and your dad's famous and you've got millions. Yeah, it would have to warp you.
But when he decided I'm giving up football and I'll be a boxer, and everyone said, "What a nutcase! You know, why would he want to be a boxer?" And he just start to learn to box now. He was a boxer when he was 3. Alan Moore, a friend of mine, who was welterweight champion of Australia and the president of the Boxing Association and welterweight champion of Australia, Alan said, mate, he used to train with Tony at Ern McQuillan's in Sydney. And he said, don't worry about Anthony Mundine starting to fight when he's 28. He said, the bloke's been fighting. He was 5-year-old and he was beating up 10-year-olds, you know. And he said, mate, the bloke has been boxing ever since he was born. So he wasn't just a footballer decided to turn pro like the Gallants.
Yeah, you think of his life. He'd been in the gym the whole time.
Yeah, and he was a great athlete, you know. I mean, he was a great footballer, you know, and had a bit of a problem with other things, but, you know, he used to do cartwheels at the end of it and so forth. And, you know, the guy is a super, but don't worry that beneath him, you know, if he was in here with you and he was on air, you wouldn't realise it was the same bloke. When you turn the microphone off and he sits there and talks to you. Yeah, he's a good guy. But
it's like some people can, they navigate through industries. They can't be absolutely horrible. They know how to get there. And
so.
You know, if anything, he's got the face that some you want to. You know, like some people just look like they're like
exactly, and that's what he wants.
You know,
and he turns up for weigh-ins with you know. Some sort of a pimp from New York or something in these weird yellow suits and throws $100 to the poor white people.
And meanwhile, he's selling tickets.
Selling tickets because I know guys that I used to play golf with, and they used to say, "Oh, I've seen that Mundine last night." And I said, "Did you pay the $50 to watch it?" Yeah, but I only want to see him get beat. Mate, he doesn't care as long as you paid the $50. You know, and truly, he was a genius. And do you know that anyone that fought, he promotes himself. So he doesn't pay a promoter. He promotes his own fights. Then he gets puts his own program together, pays no one. None of the fighters get paid. He said, if you want to fight on my program, you get more money out of sponsorship, and mate, you'll get more exposure. So they fight for nothing. And then
I heard that, and he pre-sells tickets, walks the streets. You want to see my fight?
Exactly so, and has got an agreement, so they tell me, with Foxtel. So other boxers and so forth get 5% of what they Foxtel sell. Mate, he gets 50%. Half of whatever people pay, the pubs, the clubs and whatever pay, Anthony Mundine gets 50%. Right. That's why he's made $54 million. And
meanwhile, there's another fighter out there tomorrow on the Gold Coast wants to be the best, but doesn't have that in his mind.
No.
Right?
Exactly right. But truly, you know, to me, the bloke is a genius, and I've met him lots and lots of times, just socially and so forth. And the people that boxed him, that have fought him, love him. You know, he fought a little guy from Gatton, and I think he fought for a world title and didn't get as much money. And all of a sudden, Ricky Thornberry, and Ricky virtually got a fight with him. It was a bit of a warm-up for Anthony, and he cracked a rib. And he said, mate, I don't know if I'll be able to fight. And Anthony said, well, mate, this is the last chance. And he said, mate, I won't. And he never heard. He said, all he had to do was hit me in the rib. And he said, I would have been stopped. But he never did. And he said, mate, I got something like $35,000. That was the most money I ever got fighting Anthony Mundine, because Mundine just did all the work. Right. They got...
and Gentleman Lee didn't try and tap him.
Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. And he said, mate, people can say what they like about Anthony Mundine. I love the guy.
Yeah, of course. And you would know the ribs, like that pain
mate.
stays.
Oh, exactly so. Yeah, but no, I've got a lot of time for Anthony Mundine. Yeah. Now, probably a lot of people say you're an idiot, but I do. I know Anthony. I know his father well and truly. his old man, is very proud of him as well, because he knows what the real Anthony Munday, and no one knows the amount of work he does for Aberdeen children and so forth, around Redfern and country towns, and does it more people. But he wouldn't want you to know that, because everyone might think he's a good guy, and he'd hate that. He would hate that. If heard someone say Anthony Mundine's, a really nice guy, he'd say, hang on, don't spread that around.
Hang on a minute, won't sell tickets. Yeah.
No saying that about me. No.
So what about, you're kidding me. I was just thinking about that. I'd better turn it up.
I got one on too. I'll turn mine
on. I know that you've interviewed Muhammad Ali. I actually like to know the small stuff from yourself on what happened on the day. Like the actual day, if you can recall, because I bet you'd been like, all the week leading up, there's going to come a time when I'm going to have to interview one of the most important people in the world.
It was a bit of a surprise, really, because he just came into the venue, see? Yeah, he walked in with his entourage and just surprised everyone, yeah.
Right, so it was a different venue. Do you remember the venue itself? Or
the Sydney. We're at the Sydney Olympics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he radiate what everyone says?
Truly.
And did he have that? Did he ever turn it off? Was he ever just like a normal bloke, and the next minute, hey, there's people around?
Truly. Virtually talking to him privately he was just interested in boxing and interested in guys in Australia and how Australian boxing was going. But, on air and on thing, he just sort of was a different person altogether. And, I am the greatest, where he got that saying from? He was virtually, when he was a kid, went to the boxing with his father, to the wrestling with his father, and a bloke called Gorgeous George. He used to pack it out, and he used to have dyed hair, and he used to have, and he used to spray under his arms and so forth with, his opponent's arms so that he didn't smell bad when he was wrestling.
Really?
And Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay, was with his father watching this, and all of a sudden he started saying, "I am the greatest." And Ali thought, mate, if I become a fighter, what a great saying. And that's he said himself. He didn't think of that saying.
From Gorgeous George.
He got that from Gorgeous George, the wrestler. He used to pack it everyone hated him for that same reason. They used to say, boo, and the other blokes used to get him down, and then he'd win the fight. And between rounds, he'd demand that they go back to the corner and spray underarm because they were getting a bit smelly for him and so. And everyone hated the bloke. Right. But Ali said, what a great line. Yeah, I'm the greatest, and I'll use that. Yeah.
Just in every way. I mean, we can go on about it. Sorry, I didn't do. Did you find yourself slightly intimidated, though?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So you were live in the stadium?
Yeah. And true, you talk to him, and the bloke is just so charismatic. To me, the best two interviewers in the world were Michael Parkinson and David Frost. Mate, they have interviewed every president and every pope and every celebrity, branches, leaders, and, all of these wonderful leaders of everything you can imagine. And without one thought, they've both been asked, of all the interviews you've done, which would you say was the most, the memorable to you? And without 1 second delay, they both said, Muhammad Ali. Oh, yeah. Parkinson said, they come down the stairs, and I said, now our guest is Muhammad Ali. And he said, I looked up, and he said, I couldn't speak. This huge giant of a man come down with the aura.
So pretty.
He said, he said, I just sat there in awe of the man. And that's someone who's interviewed every person. So you imagine a nobody like me in the virtually standing there talking to this legend, and he just had this aura that you were in another world.
Yeah, and I imagine he would have been really trying to listen to your language too.
Yeah, well,
there's something about Australian that would have been tough.
Well, see, sitting next to me was Joe Bugner, who fought him twice, and as he walked in, Joe stood up and walked to him and gave him a big embrace and virtually gave him a little kiss on the cheek. Ali stepped back half a step, and his brilliant brain, shattered body but brilliant brain, and he said to Joe, and he said, "You haven't gone queer on me, have you, Joe?" And it just broke everyone up, just incredible. And later, the same thing he said to Joe. He said, "Joe, are you married?" And he said, "Yes." And he said, "Do you have any children?" And he said, "Yes." "How many have you got?" And he said, 5. Ali thought for a minute, gave him a punch on the shoulder and said, "I think I've got 17. I beat you again." And, just brilliant stuff off the top of his head,
Constantly.
Just a brilliant thing. And just to be in the same area of him was just charismatic, And the guy you talk about an aura around people. And this guy, when he impresses the David Frosts and the Michael Parkinsons, and they were an aura of the man, how do you think I felt?
You would have seen, I think, I've watched on YouTube probably 10, 12 times this particular Parkinson saying, yep, Muhammad Ali. But if you go back and watch, I think he interviewed him 5 times in the end over all the years. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at
the first time he didn't give him the respect that Ali, there's a classic bit that I keep watching over and over and over where Ali says it. Oh, you were really nice to me in the green room, but I get out here now. You're asking me these funny things and these like strange quotes, and he got right upset and he said, "I am physically and mentally stronger than you."
Oh yeah.
Parkinson had nothing to say.
Exactly so.
I got goosebumps just saying it now.
And truly, Drew, when you see the guy interviewed in depth, not just about boxing, but about the problems, the racial problems, and and so forth. The guy is an incredibly deep thinker. He doesn't just scream out, weird things. The guy has got this incredible brain, and just unbelievable. He can go from so funny to so serious with almost a tear in your eye, and then back to funny. And, he's just an incredible human being, he was. And my hero. And people say, who was the best? Mate, I really think probably if I had to cut down to one, the greatest boxer I've ever seen or the greatest fighter I've ever seen, I would probably say Sugar Ray Robinson. He was just incredible. Back in those eras when I was doing my imaginary interviews, he was one of the high up. But as just a charismatic person and as a boxer and as a human being and as a person that's known more over the world than the Pope and the Prime Minister of Australia and the Prime Minister or the President of the United States. It was done once, a poll of virtually every little village, and someone didn't know Kennedy and someone didn't know the Pope, but everyone knew Muhammad Ali. He was the best known face in the world. And for a boxer to get to that level is, you've got to have something going.
Oh, yeah. And bring, there comes a certain time in every sport where someone makes it all very popular again.
Yeah, that's right. I know.
I remember being young and there was just such a buzz about this man and boxing. And you remind me of something that when you said when you were on the tractor.
Yeah.
Running fights through it made me think of the time. Okay, so everyone would have huddled around the radio, and just like with, I used to race Speedway. Speedway isn't popular at all anymore, but back then the stars came to the track and they'd speak before they get trophies, and they'd sort of put on a bit of like this funny. It was a completely different era where people would flock to these speedways, or they'd hear about the fighting and they'd flock to the boxing,
Was it in Brisbane that you were involved in the Speedway?
Yeah.
Frank Arthur was a dear old friend of mine. Frank Arthur ran the Speedway up there for so many years.
Which one? The Brisbane?
The exhibition ground.
Exhibition, okay. Yeah. Well, Bill Good.
Oh, sure.
Bill Good now, the Wanless family.
Yep.
Okay,
sure.
So Bill Good and Todd Wanless's dad, I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
Actually slightly related to Bill Good.
Yeah. Well, Ron Wanless.
Ron Wanless, yeah. Yeah, so
Ron Wanless fancied himself as a fighter.
Oh, yeah.
He had a couple of professional fights.
That's true.
And but he was, talk about people in the street, he was a lot better in the street than he was in the
Really? Yeah?
Ron was a very tough bloke.
Oh, yeah.
And a great bloke, yeah.
Well, I raced sprint cars with his son, Todd, forever,
great,
for a long time. Yeah, and he had, everyone around the track was like, oh, don't mess with Todd, because he had some, his dad was a boxer.
Oh, yeah, he was too, yeah.
Todd had done some stuff.
But, mate, just back to the Olympics and interviews and so forth. We did an interview virtually every day with the big guy with the missing ear. Holyfield.
Holyfield, yes.
Yeah, Holyfield.
Yep.
And, mate, truly, doing an interview with a guy with half an ear, a quarter of an ear.
A famous quarter of an ear too.
It's very hard to do an interview face-to-face without looking at that ear.
Yeah. Did you acknowledge it? Did you bring it up?
No. But it was it. But what a delightful guy he was, mate. This giant man looked like a big black panther. Yep. And mate, but they had the smallest hands. I've got a photo of he and I shaking hands, and my hand, and I've got very small hands, my hand was bigger than his, I'd say. Wow. I could show you the photo, but he was a wonderful interviewee. He was just great to talk to, and he was officially here with the American boxing team. What an inspiration it was for those guys. Sure. He was there at every session, morning and night, or afternoon and night, every session of every day. And we did a quick little chat about how the American team were going, and but just a very, very easy guy to talk to, and it was hard to imagine him